this week's video cast, we're going to jump into some news that happened this week in Minnesota hockey. District 6 repealed its stricter requirements for 5-minute majors and 10-minute misconducts. They figured out really fast that having these stricter requirements on its peewees and bantams was going to make an unlevel playing field for its teams. They were going to have requirements where a kid gets a 5 and 10 would miss a game after 2 5 and 10s, miss 3 games after 3 5 and 10s, and be rejected for the season after 4 5 and 10s. It was also learned this week that Minnesota Hockey will be having a very similar proposal on the table in its December meeting, and many in the inside think that this proposal will not get passed. I was up in the Iron Range this past weekend and saw 4 or 5 different peewee and bantam teams. One kid that really stood out amongst the rest was a future star named Tyler Watkins from Hermantown's Peewee AA team. Tyler had a fantastic weekend. I don't think his puck's ever seen so much nylon as he did this past weekend. He had goals in each of his games that he played this weekend. He just stood out. He was extremely fast, shot the puck well, had great vision. He could play center, he could play D. He kind of just did it all for the Hawks. They have a very nice team. Look for Hermantown to do well again this year. I don't think they're quite runner-up material like they were last year, but they will again make a big run this year in regions and again possibly in state. Finally, I got a chance to see a few different rinks while I was up there and meet a couple rink managers, and one rink that stood out amongst them all was Hibbing Memorial Rink. It's a kind of a perfect blend with old school and new school. Old school, it had hallways that went to basically nowhere. It had a little basement locker room that was really cool. It had banners and tradition from state championships and region championships. They had an old amateur team called the Hibbing Cardinals. The place oozed with tradition. In addition to it, it was very well maintained. It was all painted white. They had new bleachers put in. They had new glass. I mean, the ice surface was fantastic. It was just a great rink. I like to check out rinks while I'm all over the state, and this was one that kind of stood out for me. I got 3 thumbs up this week. The first goes to the Brainerd Hockey Association. This year they went AA, single A with only 4 peewee teams and 2 bantam teams. That's a remarkable feat considering there are metro associations with twice the amount of participation that are going AA and B1. So congratulations to you, Brainerd, for going AA, single A with small participation. The next one I have is for Northern hockey. You always hear about, the Northern teams do this or the Northern teams do that. One thing that stood out from watching 7, 8, 9 games this past weekend was that the Northern players are very aggressive. But a lot of people take aggressive as cheap. The last thing that these guys were is cheap. They were just very aggressive. They like to use their body. They play a very aggressive style, both pinching offensively and defensively. They pinch well. They play the body well. It's a fun brand of hockey for a metro kid like me to go and watch. I was a huge thumbs up to the Northern style of play. Finally, a huge thumbs up to our 100+ scorers that we have entering scores from their favorite teams into our scores database. As you can see, the scores database is a little weak because the data is thin, but once that data gets put in there, you're going to find our scientific formula is outstanding. It's already the teams that have 4, 5, 6, 7 games are definitely getting placed in the right area. As soon as we get some more scores in there, this database and this ranking system is going to be second to none. My thumbs down this week goes to Minnesota Hockey's AA, single A pilot. As I've written about several times this summer and this fall, I love the concept of single A, AA. It evens out the competitive balance in the state. There's going to be no more blowouts in the regions and state tournaments that there have been in the past. I really like its concept. Where I think they went wrong is they didn't put much governance on its associations. Essentially, every association had its own brain and its own interpretation of a very, very slim rules guideline. It was less than 1 page that they put out there. There were no other rules that went with it. An association, a large association, could do whatever it wanted. And what's happened is lots of single A teams aren't getting games against double A teams. Double A teams won't play single A teams. And now we've just got two smaller divisions of double A and single A, which really wasn't the initial purpose. The purpose was for all A's to play all A teams, and then they would be divided at the end of the season in district and region and state play. A great concept. More governance needs to be put in place if this pilot is to work, or if this is to be adopted in a more permanent stature in the future. So thumbs down to Minnesota Hockey for not getting out there and teaching the associations what its initial purpose was. This week's featured player of the week is Mason Campbell from the Rosemount Irish. Mason's a squad A player returning from last year's great Rosemount team. Mason's a defenseman. He's a great little player. I got a chance to watch him play in the Velocity 3-on-3 tournament this past fall. Look for Mason to have another great season. His teammates should be a top 5 team going into this year. I'm looking forward to seeing him play and some of the other kids from Rosemount play this year. Mason's got a great little bio on our site. Check it out. I'm sure you'll get a couple good laughs about what Mason likes as far as players and food and girls and all other fun stuff. Good luck this year, Mason. Look forward to watching you play a few games.